gay rights, hate parochial schools, etc. To the extent that they come before the city council, should a council member vote in accordance with his or her personal views or the views of their constituents?
I think sorry about that. I think it's a little of each. I think that, as I said earlier tonight, it's the public that puts you into office, and it's their wishes that have to be met. And although I just happen to be very fortunate to be a member of the community that believes in the very same issues. And I believe that my views, I grew up in the community, I went to the yeshivas in the community, I believe my issues would be the same as my constituents, but most certainly I would have to vote for the issues, for the way my constituents want me to vote.
I grew up in the community. I live in this community. I've been living here all my life. I know that when I'm elected office, I know that I don't elect myself in office. The community is the one that is going to choose who is the next one that is going to be the next councilman of our community. He is a representative of the community. So these people should have their voices heard, and this is how our votes, and this is what we are going to. Whatever my opinion is the opinion of the community. If the community says we should go against this problem, that's what we are going to do.
I have to tell you folks, I'm actually very proud, and hear me out for a second, to disagree with both of them. I got to tell you that my personal view is really what matters the most. We shouldn't sell out our views for political expediency. Interest in Albany and the unions and the teachers' unions, and they come after me hard because of my views. I believe in a higher power. I believe that we have Das Torah. I believe that we have to answer Hashem. Ultimately, I am proud of the fact that I am a religious Jew, and I will take my values, which are the same values as my Catholic friends, and the same values as my constituents, and I will fight for those in City Hall without making any apologies for my belief in God.
Emphasize everyone here that I am a conservative Republican, and you'll never have to fear me selling out my personal and your personal views on the important issues that matter to our community for any sort of political gain. I just want to say that. And to further emphasize that point, unfortunately, the politics in Albany, the politics in the city council, too many times people are willing to make those deals behind the scenes. They can come here, as, again, I have to say that we've been talking about the importance of looking at records and looking at what people really have been doing as opposed to what people will say and then do otherwise. It's very important to look at that because people can say anything to you right now in front of you to get your approval and your support. But you have to look at people who have stood by their principles, tried and true, and have always worked with the community and for the community, because the community and the peoples and that are the people that live in our community put us into office to do just that. So the views of this community are just as important as my personal views, and you can rest assured that my views and your views, and the views of all the people in this district, whether you live in Borough Park or not, are very much so in sympathy, and we have a lot we can work together on to make sure that those serious social issues that come up for votes, that come up as issues in City Hall or in Albany, we all have a lot of common ground, and we are going to stand by those principles all the way through.
Thank you. This format has worked well in terms of interspersing questions to the audience. We've had wonderful and really phenomenal questions from our panel. And this, I think, is a phenomenal question coming from a constituent. We begin with Avraham Shlomo Tischler. Many people think the system needs revamping. Many of you tout your experience in the system as the reason to vote for you. Don't we really need people from outside the system to affect real change?
Now, I am a person that has been in this community for my whole life. And a lot of people look at politicians of the community in a bad way these days. Like, I collected signatures from a lot of people. I mean, I personally went down on 13th Avenue, 14th Avenue, 15th Avenue, 16th Avenue to collect signatures for my petition. And I heard the views of our community. Now, a lot of people look at, they start losing hope in politicians. Why? Because sometimes they say a lot of things that sometimes just doesn't happen. Now, me as a person, I will fight for apathy. I will, and my whole goal is if you reach for the stars, you can accomplish anything. And you want to know what? And you want to know what? I think we need a new face to oversee all city budgets, agendas, programs, and we will have a better community.
Thank you, whoever asked that question. It's an excellent question. In fact, the system is not only broken, the system is corrupt. And let me tell you something, folks. I've worked against the system my entire life. And I've spoken out against it on both my radio shows and my podcasts. And I've made it very clear that, folks, I've made it very clear that the system doesn't work and it's broken. And let me tell you something. It's very easy to say, oh, the system's broken and I'm going to work against the system. I've worked against the system at my own personal risk. The reality is that the reason that a lot of the establishment is supporting some of my opponents is exactly because I fought for this community. I went up to Albany and I fought for back to this community, and we brought back tax credits, and we brought back millions of dollars for yeshivas, and we brought back millions of dollars for computers. Let me tell you what I did with the corrupt system. I actually walked into City Hall with a bill. I gave them a bill for $234 million for the services they owed our community for years that they weren't giving us because we actually were entitled to free tutoring for our yeshiva students. And because I did that, I'm really proud that this year, thanks to the support of the mayor and Councilman Simcha Felder, we have a free tutoring program worth thousands of dollars per child in residential schools, yeshivas, and Catholic schools that are helping out thousands of children. And so you want someone who's going to work against the system, there's nobody better than me.
It's funny, with all due respect to colleagues on my left and my right, that we're going to be talking about reform in the system, because both of the two colleagues sitting next to me have been endorsed by the very establishment people that have left us with the mess of corruption. In fact, we have the endorsed candidate of the Democratic Party boss of Brooklyn, and we know the track record that they have in Brooklyn. We can have as many endorsements as we like, but at the end of the day, that's the problem, isn't it? People depend on the people who are already in power in order to get the power for themselves. And that is what they tout as credibility, but I say that's the biggest mark against an individual's credibility, when the people who have been messing up the system are trying to get more of the same people in it to join in the fun. And there's something very, very wrong with that. I have always been an independent Republican. I am not a part of an establishment, I'm proud to say, except the establishment of all the grassroots leaders, all the reformers out there who want to see government change. I'm president of the Brooklyn Young Republican Club, and I have to tell you that the history of that organization is the same history that brought us Seth Lowe, the reformer mayor of Brooklyn and the city of New York, the people who have always fought for change, who fought for the primary system so that people get a choice over who their party nominee is. We're talking about people who fought very hard and for many years to reform the system, to reduce taxes, to make sure that corruption is taken out of government, and to give the people's voice a chance in the policy and the decisions that we need made for the people of our district. So if you want a real reformer who's going to fight corruption, who's going to change the system, but know how to work with people in the system to get it done, we're not having to worry about the pain of all these corrupt individuals who are endorsing people left and right, then you know that the person you can trust with that responsibility is Jonathan Judge.